Hello, and welcome back to another pop video right on the back of the other one. Exact same list, no changes. List is, I think, pretty good. Um, so if you want to watch my 7-minute rant about or ramble about the deck, what an intro. Um, just as this is a Izzet control version of Izzet Fae, we're not trying to get people dead quick, but we are trying to win the game eventually, and I think this is really well positioned deck. I'm practicing this deck because I'm going to hopefully take a 2K Pop National, so I think it is the deck that will give me the best chance to win the tournament. Yeah, I think Blue Red Fae is real. Fair enough. Anything else to add? I don't think so. If you want more, go watch the other one. That was longer. This one's shorter. Right, so we're back in for the first match of our second league with Izzet Fae. Nice easy mulligan choice. We'll keep this. Obviously, there's matchups where it's going to be dead, but I don't want to multi 5 on the play. Attempt to put back the cast into the fire, or otherwise one of the Lorians. Let's put back the Lorian, and let's see what we're up against. Hopefully, it's something where a spread is good. Red-blue gate is not what I was expecting to see. So I'll have to work out what this is on the fly. And then I think we get ourselves a mountain. Let's turn our hand on. We can always turn it into an untapped blue source with the Lorien. So we don't manage that, but we're holding up, So I'm excited to see what. Those are a lot of colours. That's a lot of different colours. So I'm going to fetch an island. I'm going to island cycle. Island cycle could be tempted to grab a volatile fort. It'd be nice to be able to hold up mana into our next turn, but also we've got a lot of red spells. Okay, I'm not sure. So I think I'm going to lead on the Augur and just get the other blue source down. So again, this is blind. I do prefer setting these up, but they still hit sometimes. So what was I trying to say? In the previous one, I was talking about this is again. It's going to be trying quite hard, but this is as much also a kind of chilling out, getting to play some games league rather than being super try hard and still very confused what's going on. The counterspell might be good. Well, I'm going to start ticking in for a couple of points of damage. We get to play ourselves another Augur. I guess we're always playing this island, we might as well play it first. Do we go 2 for 2? 2 for 2, oh. Now that's real skill. But yeah, no idea what's going on over here. No idea what the plan of a deck that plays 3 rainbow tap lands is into most of the metagame, but I'm very intrigued. So he's got 3 green sources, so he's base green. Right. Consideration of scred that or try and exile it. If they're Pila-Pala, then I guess one of cast into the fire is a good thing to use on it. If we scred, we get to Lorien revealed and find another island. I think I'm just going to use the more expensive removal spell. I don't know what's going on. But again, there's some value in putting cards into straight up into the graveyard. And then I will island cycle, get us attack for 2. I don't know if it would turn out to be relevant if this is exile. But again, considering we had the we had the mana available that turn, I'm happy with how that went. Was this a Chrysalis? I assume there's got to be some, just staple good cards to hold the ship together. That was the ship, not the house. Do we counterspell? We could just scred this. I think I'm happy to just scred this. Again, so I'm thinking this is like a brood scale kind of pseudo brood scale deck. Spell Pierce doesn't look at its best. I'm sure they do have some non-creature spells in there, but they're up to 7 mana already. It's exciting to be up against something you've not seen. If they're tapping their red-blue land first, presumably that implies blue is not an important colour for them. To feral. So this is supporting it being your madness? Your what? That wasn't on my radar. But that would be a kill con for the Pila-Pala infinite combo. Infinite fire breathing. I was not expecting a kitchen. And their attack. I guess that the attack makes sense and that they're not trading, and if we have a ninja, we'd still pick up a guy anyway. We might pull this down at some point, but otherwise we're just going to keep 2 sprites is good. I'm not going to play the Augur right now, and I'm going to be flashing in a sprite end step if we've kind of got leftover mana. Hard to make too much in the way of a plan when you don't really know what's good. But I don't mind taking 2 if, okay, they're staying home now to trade with the ninja. I'm going to fire off a sprite, because again, we need to have 2 fairies into play before they really start doing anything. Just the one though. I think we play an island for our turn. I think I'm going to play the Augur. If we hit a bolt, we're interested in killing this. I think I'd rather keep a Scred for a Chrysalis. We finally brick on our 3rd blind Augur, so not too sad about that. And we'll just attack for 3. If they want to trade the imp for the... I think that's kind of... Kitchen imp? No, is this kitchen imp? No attacks, no blocks. I guess it kept the sprite at home. Okay. Cascade into Pila-Pala. I guess that makes sense where we've got all the tap lands, because they don't do anything otherwise. I'm going to sprite this. This could go quite wrong quite easily, because we've spent the 2 mana on the Augur. It's quite easy for them to kill a sprite here. I say that, presumably they can't have any 2 mana removal spells if they're set up to always cascade into Pila-Pala. But obviously if we don't really want to be tapping out for a counter spell on our turn, yeah, no idea what's going on here. Opponent's having a think. Pila-Pala be countered. Cascade resolves. They trade no Eldrazi spawn for it. But that ninja also got to let us look at the bottom 3 cards of our library. So who's laughing? So what would you play in a deck that's only 3? Stormshriek Feral, Chrysalis, Pala. Oh, I forgot that we actually saw a whole bunch of their cards. So a bunch of adventure creatures, some fire ices. Fire ice very good against us. Some madness stuff, and the other part of the Pila-Pala glow. So I've not seen a way of recovering creatures. Pulse of Marassa is very much on my radar, but we're going to counterspell the Pila-Pala. Try and stop them having any of that. And presumably that their combo. Again, we can Scred down. Oh god, the Basilisk Gate's just going to kill us. So yeah, we can save Screds for Chrysali. Is their fair creature gate plan going to be good enough? I mean, I hope not. Wild game. This type of spot where a monarch creature is really good for us. We're going to be able to control the board. They're going to have huge guys, but we're able to stop taking we'll be able to jump block, stop them taking back the mod. Is this just actually good? You can just activate this, that's really funny. So, 3 cards in hand. What does this even do? It gets +1/+3 as well, and reach. Maybe Pila-Pala wasn't the point. Careful cultivation, my guy. Well, we're not playing anything from my hand. I'm not going to chump attack. We could attack with the 2 Augurs. But then if we do that and they start pumping a guy, like I'd rather keep the Augurs back. So we have a Scred and what's very likely a dead spell pierce that we're and a mountain that we're hoping to brainstorm away. I think we've seen a bunch of Lorien, but we've seen 2 and scried 1 to the bottom again, so we've not got too many draw 3s out. And this guy gets huge. I'm going to take 6 again. We don't have any life gain, so that doesn't have this killing us. But I think I'm happy not playing any spells from hand. The Scred seems better to be able to potentially interact, mess with this. If I was Scredding a target, it would be this, but then if we don't draw well, we're not beating that board anyway. So the bolt helps a lot. I am tempted to bolt down both of it. At least then we're kind of getting in. Sure, they could use this. That, 2 turns of that we die. Maybe that's too bad. It offsets the damage we take, but it means bolting an Eldrazi spawn token. That doesn't seem very promising. I think the plan is that we have to draw a monocular, use that to chain together removal spells for their board. I don't think that we're realistically killing them with our spell stutters, even if we ninja pick up a spell stutter. Their mana sinks on board. Look. So the cliff gate is for fire eye. I'm planning to just block this with an augur this turn. Let's block this with an augur. Let's bolt down one of these. Keep the Scred for, Chrysalis or something else. If we Scred, we can hit them for 3 back. Maximum 3 back. They go to 8, 5. I don't think I get there. I'd rather keep the Scred. We're not realistically bolting them out from here. We're going to 4. I will say their deck is a lot fairer than I thought it was going to be when the game started, when we started playing. It doesn't necessarily mean we're matching up too well, and it will change how I play in kind of subsequent games. Again, I don't think we're Scredding something now. I think we're saving that. Now we'll cycle the relic. The Ford isn't doing a lot for us. We'll play it because if we get another, I'm expecting we'll get another turn, and if we draw a Lorien or something, we're going to want all the getting a bit more information is not. So it's looking like Scred this. Are we dead to land now? No, we're. So if they don't gate this, then we have the right number of blockers for their creatures. We could block up, and this only does 3. We wouldn't take any more. This is an activated ability, so we can't spell pierce it. We're planning to chump that anyway. We are not beating a violent outburst. So if we're blocking, we might as well keep Augur. We will Scred this so that I think just taking 2 less damage is, not going to 1 seems better. This means that we can block, chump this, and then take 1 next turn and not be dead on board. Who knows what this could be? This is a Chrysalis. Finally got rid of our Screds. Well, it's the right time for a Lorien reveal. We need 2 blockers basically to be. So we can Fairy Seer, depending on what we hit. Or I can't imagine we're not. The Augur's dying anyway. So let's play the landscape so we've got a shuffle in our next draw. Can't see how we're necessarily winning from this spot, but I will take the opportunity to see more of their deck. Is this the Violent Outburst? Violent Outburst isn't lethal. We're blocking like this because I bet our ninja best target is an augur. Either way, it's the only way we get to keep a guy. There's no real value for them in, so saying no value for them if we block here not to sack their guys. Not dead to a Violent Outburst. We're also tapped out, so there's no point removing auto yield. So the game continues. So that was the damage step. So that looked like a Chrysalis to me. I've never seen this card before in my life. Let's see whether we have to read it. So Brainstorm Shuffle is, the game's carrying on. What do you do? Discard a card. This card gets +1/+1. Okay. So we could augur and guarantee hit the spell pierce. But I think we just want to hit. We want to shuffle and roll the dice at getting something better. Let's just take another island. We've got 3 red sources. Ideally, this is going to be like another scred or a bolt, really. Don't think we've got that many screds left. So bolt is a bolt. So we're going to struggle to kill one of these in combat. What are we on at the minute? We're on bolt, random guy, scred, a chrysalis. Because I think that's scarier than whatever this hell mongrel is. They're just making cards up at this point. They had 2 cards in hand. They've not played a land in a while, so I don't really want to throw a bolt into this. We could in their end step when it's got a damage on it from an augur. That is more tempting. The drawing the brainstorm and having the 2 cards in hand to put back might have been. The game does not look as hopeless as it did the turn before, and I think we have to bolt this. We don't want to be blocking it. I'd rather block the chrysalis than scratch. No. Block this. Block this. Scred this. We don't have a board, so ninjas aren't good for us. They attacked with these last time, which wasn't very good for them because we have ninjas. So, scred. Need to draw, like, at minimum, basically 2 creatures. Shame we used a lot of time upon that. It's been a long game. Discard a madness 6-drop, destroy a creature, that is, right? So they win a counterspell. Do they? What does counterspelling this do? So we counterspell. Hang on. So we're scredding 1, jumping 1 anyway. If we counterspell, we get to keep one of our guys. If we let it go, we can counter something else that might matter. It seems tough that we're gonna imagine we're gonna have too much mana in subsequent turns. We've got only 1 Lorien revealed. So we're actually going to struggle to spend all our mana. But ninjas are now. But I can't really rely on them tapping out again. Like attacking with all their guys again. Scred here, leave up counterspell. Violent Outburst is 2 damage, make a Pila-Pala. Pila-Pala is going to be tough to beat because it's a 1/1. And there's no Pila-Palas left. This is just 2 damage. Okay. 2 damage is fine. I think we are dead. I'm going to tell my opponent I think his deck is good. Let's see if they show us any more cards. Yeah, it's just the chrysalis. Oh, they cascaded, didn't they? So we did see. So I'm not going to remember this, but I've got the vibes for what this is. Does this mean there's multiple hell mongrels? There's multiple hell mongrels? Cool. So let's. I didn't see anything that made it look like the graveyard would matter. It did make me want to become the monarch. I'm kind of interested in just not. So I definitely want the monarch. Kind of in. Sorry, let's put this back. Let's start from scratch. Let's start from where we are. Definitely interested in becoming the monarch. Kind of interested in breath weaponing if they're on like some random tokens. Also, kind of, the creature we saw, if they're making loads of old drive, they spawn tokens and trying to kill us with that. It's good. It works getting to kitchen in, the big chrysalis, the stupid hell mongrel thing. I've actually forgotten a whole, so many of the cards. Breath weapon's not great. Hydroblast, we saw the ferals that this counters. I really should have taken a screen grab. Other than that, there was a lot of green and black cards, but they're going to have, presumably they're going to have red blast, so the blue blasts aren't terrible for us. I don't think I really want, and then I'd add these 3. I think the plan is to just basically try and have the more, drop the monarch, use it to keep the combo, temper them out a bit, keep the ball clear with our spot removal. We need to be a bit more aggressive because they're on the gate. I think this is fine. Maybe 8 removal spells isn't that many if they're on gates, but and every little creature can do something. But let's go. So I'm going to keep this. Start off with a scry and see if we have a plan. We have not informed our decision whatsoever, but we could still draw into like ninja. That would obviously be the best thing we could draw to. It's really hard for them to sideboard because they're on this weird cascade thing. I'm not going to leave up to interact with them on turn 2. Again, we saw they were cascading into Pila-Pala, at least in game 1. Can't imagine they've got too many sideboard cards that break that plan. Nice turn to draw a brainstorm. Still interested in hitting a ninja, so let's brainstorm first. I don't think I want the lightning, and I think I'll put back the mountain and draw it. Just play the island, hold up the counter spell, and just shuffle. No shuffle, sorry, and just draw the mountain. We can float the 4 or 5 lands. And like I say, I'm now more interested in Lorien Revealed than now that I know that they are, if I like say, almost a bit fairer than I'd first thought. You're making a stupid kitchen imp. Kind of. You're kind of making a kitchen imp. I forgot this was 1 mana. So I would have wanted the bolt for that. Do I want to spread it or counterspell it? I guess if I'm counterspelling, I should have counterspelled this. If I scred, I can still play the Fairy Sit, which lets me use that mana. Oh, this guy needs to be in play before I can scred it. I was wondering why it wasn't letting me do it. Can you, if I bolt this and they had another mana, could they play it again? I don't know how that works. So I think I'm now more interested in the bolt. Am I still interested in both of these? Am I interested in the bolt? Yeah. I should have known that something was up, by which, from what we saw, their mana base was probably very valuable. You know, the jump to actually being able to start playing the game on turn 3. Was that fire? Oh, didn't think about that whatsoever. So we bottomed our mountain. I think I'm going to island cycle. We get the opportunity. I know we're only 1 mana away, and I've been saying about Laurenville, but that sets up the Monarch and then still holding up into so let's island cycle here, get an untapped land, and then we'll get another. And then our best draw is basically, instead it's a sprite. I don't know if that's the end of the world, I don't think so. And is this a violent outburst? Ice that, okay. Not as violent as I had suspected. Right, we're just going to make sure we play a bit quicker now as well. We're kind of getting down to the point where realistically I think this is too short a time to make up. Magic Online being a whole minute up at this point was that meaningful chunk of our time. Opponent should be able to just play quickly and close the game out. Shame that we didn't play our sprite and get to ninja, but we will be spriting just to make have a ninjutsu trigger in our end step. Spriting the end step so that we have a ninjutsu. Wouldn't be surprised if this finds a way to die. We'll go hit brainstorm. And then we won't brainstorm until their turn, so we've got counterspell bolt both up. This is the channel. Not interested in bolting this from there, blasting it or something. So if they gate it, what's this? Who's it? So we've got to remember this is essentially in their hand as well. Sorry, he's on an adventure. So I think I'm bolting this feral. We can brainstorm first just to confirm. So happy to have this scred as well. If we put back, oh god, I have to. What is that? So basically, I want to bolt feral, play the Commodore, hold up. So I can put back and I'm going to put the Monarch anyway. We're not going to attack, we've just got another blocker if we need it. You know, we can throw this under the gate guy, keep our that can actually tussle in combat. So this is, I guess, the situation we were hoping for. These are obviously the two cards we brainstormed back. So the Augur's going to be blind. This guy gets Fire Ice down, if that matters. We're spreading this. See if they decided to go mad and attack. So Fairy Seer first. See what we can see. Like a counterspell, I'm going to bottom the Hydroblast. I don't think it matters. Top the counterspell. Only attack for 5, and then I'll Augur into the counterspell. Actually, I'm going to Augur, take the Laureate, Island Cycle, and play it, because we've got the one counterspell. Terrible to take that long on that turn if actually this kind of even if I win this game now, taking that long on a turn has kind of ruined my chance of winning the match. Now we are in just absolute try and get them dead, save as much time as possible. We're ninjing back the Augur to keep fairies in play. And I don't think we need to cast anything, we'll just hold up 2 pieces of interaction. Final Outburst, sure. Into Pila-Pala, I'm going to counter the Pila-Pala. And opponent concedes. So we've got 4 minutes, they've got 5. I can't imagine they're going to be able to combo us in 5 minutes. There seems like there's a lot of clicks going. As I say, we spent a minute on a turn there trying to like eke out better decisions when I think we realistically were ahead with the Monarch plan. And so we should have just, in terms of actually winning the match, just played quicker. The benefit is that in UK Pauper Nationals prep theme, right, so we're keeping this, got a bit of a plan. I feel like opponent shouldn't be taking this long on the decision, but I guess it's the type of thing that can really matter. As I say, unfortunately, the reality of Magic Online is that whilst we're going to try and play accurately, there's as much stake on. We've got the brainstorm to shuffle them away, so we could get ourselves in trouble here. Attacking lets them block or flicker. Kind of fine. We're drawing the mountain, which we kind of want. I will flash in a sprite. We've not seen very many 1-drops for. Then we're going to be we want a lot of mana because we want to be able to play the mountain, brainstorm, see where we go from there. Probably shuffle. Let's put back these 2. Play the mountain. So we're not leaving it. We're not representing counterspell, which might be a mistake. Do we brainstorm now? I think I will just use the mana. We've got a stop in our we can put a stop in our upkeep. God, we're taking a lot of game actions for how far into for it being turn 4. That attack was bad. Lets them do some nonsense. Yeah, they could do some kind of what am I thinking? Some kind of madness shenanigans there. Love the sprite draw for us. I'm going to play the mountain. I'm not going to lowering build. I'm going to hold. I think I wish I played the island. They played a couple of too far. Got to be aware of fire hammer first now. So we're going to brainstorm. Brainstorm island. Sure. Play our sprite. We can't spread this down. Obviously now we know we can next turn. 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can spread this now. But that loses to some weird Pila-Pala stuff. I'm just going to let that go. Another Chrysalis. So now we're going to spread this now. No, I let the trigger resolve. I let the trigger resolve. Oh, that's so dumb. In my head it was lethal. We had just talked about it being lethal, but obviously that was with that trigger on the stack. Now it's resolved. But the good news is we've shrunk this guy a lot. Factor. We're getting our guys killed. Yeah, of course we are. So this is a tough spot. Let's start with the brainstorm. We've got the shuffle. Play this. Shuffle, fetch an island. Top this. Looking at Scred the small Chrysalis, and then Scred and Bolt the big one. We can try and sprite this. If they have another Fire Ice, we're in some danger. Looks like they do. Dead gone. That's less bad for us. Still not great. And the imp. Okay, so certainly on the not great side of things. We need the opponent to attack so that we can draw an extra card off our ninja. We're going to spread this, take 10. So we're drawing our bolt. Play a fairy soon. And let's go. Let's see where we end up going. Because if we get to just block here, yeah, so we have to jump block the chrysalis anyway, so we might as well. We can't kill it, so we might as well kill the imps. Take the counter spell. Staying back gives us another turn of draw. No, it doesn't. That's block. I'm gonna struggle. I feel bad whether opponent's gonna time out now. Okay, yeah. We're not drawing this in time. That's rough. I mean, I think opponent might struggle to activate the gate. Do I feel bad enough to just concede? Go. Give them a heads up. Maybe that was worse. I've just realised that might have been worse. Because saying okay, I feel really bad for that. I should have scooped. On the play, assuming this is going to be a long match, I'm going to keep this based on the 2 lands. We're not going to likely have any mana on turn 2, but looking at play this, fetch a volatile forward. Yeah, so feel really bad about the last game. I should have typed the message quicker to make it clear that I was going to pass priority back, or I should have just scooped. And having it on video, the intention was to take the opportunity where the clock's on me to say it was a good game. The more you explain it wasn't intentional for it to be how I think it has. Let's see what opponent is doing, because then we'll decide what we want to fetch. I'm assuming this is just burn. 2 snackers, 2 an island, basically. I don't think we can afford to take next turn off. Too many ways it goes, 2 wrong. Unfortunately, we only realistically catch another looting here, and even then, if they have a bolt, we don't. Opponent being respectful might be like so they're looting, they just didn't find a second. We will brainstorm shuffle. Amazing. Let's put back Scred and 1 counter spell. Fetch an island, and then we can So fetch a mountain, and then we can island very soon and hold up the sprite. Some consideration to just fetching an island and just putting the 2 red spells back. Want another land to really have it be smooth. The lava dart, that's such a killer. So we're going to play this. We're going to play our sprite. If they dart, they go back down to 1 land. But yeah, no, if we'd just got an island, we'd have been safe. Or they just bolt it with a all the lava darts in the world. See, this is why I quite like having access to Relica progenitors in the matchup. 3 of them. I just don't see how we're beating 2 lava darts and the snackers that keep coming back. I guess, and the other mountain. I guess if they're stuck on lands, I was going to say, then the darts are kind of hard to play a 1-drop for a slamming sprite. Flashback looting with slamming sprite. Like, we need the ninja to start getting some value. It's a bit early to concede still. I don't know what the plan is. It's basically natural draw into the sort out this nonsense, and then if we have the relic and we can bolt down some of the fairies, we've got a shot there. So if that's the plan, we have to counter this. It's a shame that they just get a free, card out of our hand for free. But I'm gonna shuffle just a thin because I think we need to spike it in 1 turn. Have an extra shot to brainstorm into it. Sweet start by them. obviously they missed on the land at first, but it's one of those you gotta keep like looting double sprite. So assuming this is like the pinger burn version, we don't want the breath weapon. Do you want these? I don't think I want the screds because we have the hydroblasts and the bolts. Need that many more removal spells. And then the spell pierce I actually don't love because it's too easy for them to get off of, too easy for this card to be dead later on. And if it's, so from what we saw, it's like the all spell pinger burn. I actually quite like the monarch creatures. Just gonna keep kind of quiet. And I'm gonna bring in the Commodore over the Admiral because of Red Blast, and this gets them dead. So I think the kind of controversial thing here would be cutting the spell pierce. But I think the game is more likely to go, we're more likely to play a bit cagey. Post-board games, lots of red blasts and blue blasts flying around. Very likely our Fairy Seer dies. Kind of interested in basically setting up to play both of these. But again, unless it's Lava Dart, I don't really hate trading this for a card, just straight up. So yeah, I think we're playing the Fairy Seer just to smooth out our draw. I love the Augur. So let's top Augur into a bolt. Again, it's a little while before we can play a lightning bolt. We're going to attack. If they let me keep the Fairy Seer in play, I might just hold up Sprite instead. That sounds like the new plan. Again, it puts us in a bit of bind with we can't use the Lorien this turn. And we tap out of Lorien. I mean, if we all used up 2 of their mana for one of ours. So I'm going to fetch. I'm going to get a Volatile. You'll never guess, but I'm going to play a Volatile. So now I'm reading this to be they are on. If we spell stutter, it's very likely to be red blasted rather than, them deal with our creatures. So I'm leaning over blasted over the sprite to be red blasted. But I might just let them loot. No, let's kind of force some action. Let's grab the prize. I'm just going to attack. I don't think because I want to save mana, which is only good if they're kind of patient. I'm going to stick to that. I think I'm likely to basically, if they just pass back, attack for 2, pass back, I'm likely to, they're doing 2 at home, I'm only doing 1. I think we need them to try and cast something. So we're going to let them try and put Fiery Temper on the stack, because that uses 1 of their mana. And now we try and sprite the grab the prize. We try and blue blast to grab the prize. If we sprite the grab the prize, we can still get blown. Lava Dart, because we can't hydroblast that. I think because I've tapped the 2 mana now, but I think the correct play might have been to, the correct play might have been to blue blast this, and then if they try for this, I'm gonna let the Lava Dart resolve, and I'm just gonna blue blast to grab the prize at the relics. Good. So we brainstorm and set up the Augur. How do we want to set up the Augur? If we bottom the island, we're losing it. So if we put the island back, we're losing it. Can't play the Commodore until we can kill, which is tough if we only have. I don't see a world where we can keep the islands though. Oh hey, a lightning bolt. Do we want the lightning bolt or do we want another blue? It's not unrealistic that we might take a lot of damage this turn, but they might not play. And then we can go into our end step and kill this snacker. Untap, take the monarch. They might return their snacker, do all sorts of wild and wonderful things. We almost spoiled for choice on the brainstorm where I kind of wanted the island. Could we have put back the Augur? Could we have kept the island, put back like Augur, Bolt? What if I blue blast this now? They high likelihood to red blast it, but we take less damage that way. We only have 1 red pip, so it's very unlikely even if we draw a land that we can Commodore and bolt. They stay home respecting ninjas, but the relics turned up at a good time. Do we bolt then relic? Or relic then bolt? I don't think it matters. What does matter is if we bolt this, we can go to declare attackers, and they have a pretty high chance, based on the fact they stayed home with this, I think there's a pretty high chance they'll try and bolt our guy. This does lose us the chance of actually drawing a ninja if we'd have cycled the relic first. Like, if we crack the relic, I think there's no chance that they... Now they should just have no resources, right? Happy to see no creatures. We're going to fetch another red source. And I think we're okay from here. Struggle to see the opponent putting together points of damage. We've got the sprite. I don't know whether we cast it immediately. You know, assume they bolt our guy. Nice. Happy with the choice to attack, like go to declare attacks with the augur first. That worked out very nicely. Do we consider putting another spell pierce on the, maybe a counter spell? No, I'm going to stick to not having it. It's only one card, it doesn't make a huge difference. And if this shows up in a really awkward way, I'm just going to be mad about it. Yeah, this is there on the play. Here on a awkward one. That's not too bad. So they're going to get 2 turns to go nut. But then we're going to have a blue mana on turn 2. I'm going to keep because I don't want to mulligan into this gets out a lot better if it draws an island. That's not quite an island. So that's kind of all gone as well as it could, including that, to be honest. So we're just going to bolt this guy. Take no extra damage. We're holding up Blue Blast. I don't think I want to Blue Blast that. I'm just going to fetch an island. We've got so much removal that I can have this sit in play. I'd rather save the Blue Blast for like a cast into, not cast, but I grab. So I want to do some kinds of brainstorms, and Lauren revealed an Augurs. We can brainstorm set up Augur, but I don't want to tap out spells. I think we Augur first. I think we brainstorm first, sorry, because we only have 3 more in the deck. We might end up... It could be the relic, but I don't... Relic. I think the relic's probably going to be a what again. So maybe Augur. Do we Blue Blast this guy now? Or do we shuffle? So we've got plenty of time now to think this through. So the advantage of Blue Blasting now is that we minimize the amount of damage we take thing up. Blue Blasters, if they don't have a Red Blast, we can stop them and grab the prizing. We can always use the mana with the lock. I think we're very unlikely to sprite anything. So I think we're island cycling. I guess we Blue Blast this first. Because I just want to use my mana and trade resources, really. It's not surprised if this gets Red Blasted. We take an extra damage. Nice to see the other Hydro Blast. So we can try and Hydro Blast if they track back. I think we're just going to Augur. Wow, that's so good for us. So we got a Blue Blast out of the way for it and only took 1 extra damage. This Blue Blast resolves. I think the game is about over. If it doesn't, it's not necessarily game's over for them either, but when it does, I think we're very happy. I think I will just, am I just going to crack playing the island, attacking for 1? So the point is, if we crack it, but by keeping it, you know, we cover off, like, I guess the big one is grab the prize, discard a snacker, because we can't double sprite anyway. Sorry, crack it and double sprite anyway. We just don't. I just don't see how they're come back into it from, or how they'll be able to deal with this much damage from 1 card in hand. And again, our hands. Remember, we've got 2 cards saved up in these relics effectively. Crack each one to draw a card. To be honest, I should have cracked the first one and then had the other one untapped, because it's just going to take so long to get through all of the... There's a gutter snipe. So we're cracking response. We don't want to take the extra damage off the lava dart. and we draw a counterspell. Believe me, it is nice. If anyone was wondering, yes, it is. I can't believe that was interesting. So top this, top the augur, so we can augur into the counterspell. Now we're kind of safe to spell stutter anything that moves. Double spell stutter anything that moves. I'm going to go for the double stutter. I don't think it necessarily resolves, but again, if they bolt now, it's an instant or sorcery out of the. So we're minimizing the extra damage we take from the gutter snipe. Oh, they didn't have anything. It's just an extra land. Well, here's our counterspell. So I'm gonna kind of work on the assumption as maybe it's like a grab the prize or something. Yeah. Okay. I mean, we ran pretty good, like auguring into the bolt and so on at a good time. What is this now? 5 matches shown against various red decks with this. With one, not bad. Right, back for round 3. I seem to more than my fair share of the die roll. I don't know what this opponent's playing. So this is supposed to sprite, fairy type hand. It is one lander, but we are gonna see 3 cards for our turn 2. If we miss, we could brainstorm. I'm gonna keep because the fairy type hands do get better in, when they're multiples, if that makes sense. The fact there's 2 fairy seers and the sprite makes it a lot better than 1. There's 1 fairy seer and like this is a squared odd mulligan. But here we are. Keep this. Looking for an island, and we found an island of sort. Doesn't matter what we do the squared, we're going to be shuffling. Depending on what the opponent is on. So I think this guy's been on black sack before. I think they're playing. But I'm going to get myself a volcanic thing rather than an island and play the fairy seer, I think. Do we need these bolts? We could shuffle them away. Swamp Nile Spellbomb doesn't look like a deck that Lightning Bolt's good against. So let's actually just get an island. Worry about the red mana later. Yeah, that one will do the red mana at some point. Obviously, Island Cycling with the Laurent build does not play well with leaving up spell stutter, but we can potentially miss our third Lorandop for a turn to Sprite or otherwise Brainstorm and Lorien. Getting the Sprite down is just so valuable. When it lines up well. So I'm assuming this is Jund. Not worried about they can draw 2, sack a land, or draw 2, sack the spell bomb, but I would rather do our brainstorm shuffle thing than enough for the rest of the game to stop that. I'm going to assume this is Jund Wildfire and then keep the relic. Put back 2 bolts, fetch, forward to draw 2, shuffle. Slightly interesting they didn't get rid of the bomb, but I guess they can draw off that at a later point. Potentially holding up Sprite. Give them something to think about. So the choices are Jund, but they've not seen any bridges yet, or straight up gardens. We're going to brainstorm and probably try and set up the augur. So let's put back a lightning bolt and then draw the volatile forward and just play. We've only got 1 mana up. Maybe we'll just ninja instead. But if we ninja, it's very hard for us to. Let's go to combat first, see if they do anything. We're not putting them under intent. Every little helps. I don't mind just dropping a relic now. A lot of black decks use the graveyard for something. And then with the Moon Circuit Hacker, our sprites have gotten better, so I'll see if they draw a card off this, but I'm going to sprite. Again, very hard for them to stop the counterspell effect. They can tap out and do something. I mean, they sweep away our board, but we still got the. Oh no, we didn't get the 2 for 1. They get to keep their guy. Yeah, that works out well for them. So our main plan in this matchup is Monarch creatures. You discard a card, you lose a card from the graveyard, not quite discard a card. Let's play out Augur, love a brainstorm. And do we brainstorm? I don't dislike it. Say Scred Augur, next turn Augur into the Scred. Script rats has gotta go. So yeah, my take on this now is that it's just Golgari Gardens. So they're just going to try and kill all of our creatures, and we are going to try and play a bunch of creatures that don't care if they get killed. Yeah. So, Augur, we at minimum find a bolt. Or a scred, sorry, that was the... I am going to Island Cycle Lorien. It's a shame to lose a draw. Yeah, the draw 3 is good, but we just need to make our land drops. So we don't get... All these things are basically fine. I'm not going to just throw the sprite away. So I'm going to keep the sprite, but I don't think the sprite's going to be very good. We know they've got a... we're just going to be trying to tick in for... What? Okay. I think this works. So we've got a sprite on top of our decks. We're going to sprite. It wouldn't surprise me if they defile, but then we can crack relic. It's a tough one because they're casting this from the graveyard anyway, so we could have just cracked relic. Maybe this is just fine. Maybe that's just fine. We are playing far too slowly, and the pause there, it will not surprise them if we have some sprites. So let's just resolve this stack and see where we've ended up. This seems good. Kind of got this critical mass of sprites in play and Moonsucker Hacker. So we can Augur, but the Augur is going to die to the Crypt Rats as well. I think we play the land. We will try and... That's fine. We know you've got a Crypt Rats. I'm not convinced we're going to be able to stop it anyway. The cast down would make the Crypt Rats. Likewise, they're going to Crypt Rats for 1. I'm not expecting we're going to counter this. So almost, the Crypt Rats is killing our board anyway. I don't see the added value in... Sorry, I see the added value in using a spell to make them kill our guys. Just keep attacking. And our never-ending stream of on their own unimpressive creatures is never-ending. Nice to have a hit with the troll there. There's a red mana in there. Seems like a really weird land for a red splash to be like based off, if you know what I mean. I'd love it if I get to ninja there. I'm not necessarily going to counter a removal. Spell Pierce could be hard to make work. So let's play our Augur again. See what we can see. Bolt, every little helps. They're only at 9. So we've seen the life gain from Lembuses and Reckoner's Bargains. Considering we've not drawn a Monarch, one of our 2 Monarch cards, and they're like important cards in our deck for this matchup, I don't feel that bad. And what do we do about this? If we crack Relic, we can just get hosed by a Pulse of Marassa. Yeah, this came from the Canarium, so I should have seen this coming. I'm gonna instead try and let this happen, counter it, and then hold up basically the card in the relic to stop a pulse, or otherwise use it when we can counter. Have another one, but it no longer kills Augur Bolus. Do we want to kill their guy now, or if we scred their guy now, we don't have a scred if they have a troll, but we do get in for an extra point of damage. Gonna do that. Shame to use the scred. So at least in my head, and I don't know where I've kind of got this from, but at least in my head, Crimson Fleet Commodore is like the big show from WWE, all that stuff. Every time they draw, it's like, oh, that's the big. He's a big show. Kind of tempted to crack the relic now, but if they've only got 2 cards in hand, I think they're going to struggle to. Like, the Spell Pierce is dead on our side, which is a shame. They're going to struggle to force us to crack relic so that they can pulse. Still intrigued by this Canarium. Kind of thinking through whatever it could be, because there are Golgari versions of this, you know. Thing that we scry that changing very soon. Like we're never cracking the relic as discussed to draw the extra card. Definitely cards that we would scry to the top, definitely cards to scry to the bottom. None that we've seen it this turn. Those are cards that we scry to the bottom. We have to bear that, so I should have played the land for the turn. But the fetch land is definitely not a fetch land anymore. You can't kill the augur without being bolted out. Let's remember to tap, play the land for the turn, and gain. So we are just trying to slowly get there. Oh, that's good. I did forget about the monarch, so that gives him an extra card. But I'm glad we forgot that. In my head, the game is already kind of. I don't see what might change, but I'm going to go to my. I'm not going to tap 5 mana. Don't want to tap this, but I'm going to go. That's a spinning darkness. I'm pretty sure the bolt does it. I will just draw an extra card in case it's a counter spell. Oh, they've got the monarch. They've got the monarch. So we're just giving them an extra card draw. So pulse is realistically what they have, and it gets covered by the relic. Yeah, I was just gonna, like I said, I was just gonna draw an extra card, but that was silly. So I think I'm gonna want the relic still. A lot of the time, these decks play campfire, and as much as like actually just gain 2 life repeatedly, it's a real pain in the thing to deal with. Actually, just also then being able to shuffle their deck back around is really good for them. I want the extra Commodore. I don't want the Spell Pierce because this game is going long. I'll keep the Cast into the Fire because of Campfire, or just like what's the Tithing Blade flip called that can throw a bit. It's not great, but and I think could be bolts. Bolt kills Crypt Rats, but so does Cast into the Fire. And kill the kind of bigger, scarier targets that Scred does, which is why we prefer Scred. Maybe I cut the Cast into the Fire. I'm going to cut the bolts, keep the Cast into the Fire for now, but right. Let's give that a go. I'm just inadvertently bad mannering all my opponents this league. That's not so. This hand doesn't really do anything, but that's more on the strength of not fetch a blue-red duel. The duel, I don't think we're not ninjaing for a 2/1 body that gets killed by whatever removal spell. This is kind of one of those funny matchups where it's worth considering that if you don't have anything in play, it's feasible they have a way to draw some extra cards here, but very likely that they'd just be ending up discarding removal spells. So almost until we're ready to, until they, there's certain things they do that will force the action, but otherwise until we're ready to like meaningfully get on board, just running out random 2/1 doesn't. I'll keep the shuffle. We've got Brainstorm shuffling their end step. They've got no green mana, have they? Have they Rakdos Carnarium? Oh, there it is. They do have green mana. I take it. I'm tempted to just make 2 more land drops. Again, like, if they're not going to get on the board, we're not going to force the issue. So you are actually playing red, so is that just Red Blast? But your Red Blast would be on, like, the black-red duels rather than on your, like, hard to sequence. It's a shame. I'd rather bolt that than spread that, but it can sit and play. It's not doing anyone any harm going in for 1 every. So they've got 6 lands. We've got. Don't necessarily want to yield until the turn. That's what we're saving the spread for, because he will matter more than this stupid crypt. We can drop the relic. We can always cycle it away. So they've actually got to play this turn. I'll basically tap out for the. I think we can spell. I think this is good. I don't want to do this yet. So okay, this. They've not played a land for the turn, so we don't want to. Do we want to drop a sprite for a ninja? The problem with that is that if we do, and then they have a what's it called? Like a defile, they can keep their troll. So our hand's not very good now. That's the downside of all these ninjas, keeping these ninjas as opposed to shuffling them away. So they're at 5 cards now. I think the time to try and run them out of cards is basically over. I'm going to flash in a sprite and see whether they want to trade that for the crypt, keep managing the graveyard. That's annoying. That wasn't really on my radar. I know that they played it last game, but I wasn't thinking. I guess that I should have done that in my main phase, because I would then play a Moon Circuit Hacker just to get bolted. I don't want to play 2 and get them I don't want to play 2 and get them Crypt Rats. That's much worse for me. But it takes a lot of time to get 3 Moon Circuit Hackers individually. It takes many a turn. That's a tempting thing to crack a relic for. Just try and stop them inciting. If we get the opportunity, I think we'll trade the relic activation. That's annoying. They're going to get to use the relic for happy to run out, and there goes the insight. So we didn't really have an opportunity to stop them draw. I'll keep tapping the relic, but it's not. Kind of the downside at the minute is that we've seen 36 cards. We've not had the monarchs. We're not actually. That's fine. You can. It's no good. Worrying that you then follow that up with the relic, stop the blood fountain, but in turn get got by artifact hate, or if they pulse on top. Pulse for one guy, getting us to. There's only one creature in here, right? So we might as well crack, because sure they'll blood fountain it back, but we'd rather stop them gain the. We still draw a card off this and so on. I'm not sure I understand why you would do it that way around and not the other. I guess that the pulse can be countered. We'll flash in a sprite so that we can pick it up. I probably should have Fairy Seared first. I don't want to put too many creatures in. Oh wow. To draw the extra card and not have to discard here. So they've got a Crypt Rats. We've got a counter spell. I'm gonna just play to the board now. Take the Brainstorm. Bottom the Scratch. Shouldn't have tapped the Augur into a counter spell. Crypt Rats isn't resolving. If they have like a Drowning Soul or something, we could try and counter the draw too, but again that's a shame. Keeping this for Brainstorm value. They correctly blocked Stop Ninjas. They know about our sprite. They have a Troll. So we really need Brainstorm's pretty good. Put back these two. Bottoming these, we need a Lorien or a Mon, and we need a Ninja, and we need it pretty fast because the Trolls coming in. The Trolls start coming, they don't stop coming. I've got 2 more Screds to draw to. Get out. Oh, that's disgusting. Get out, just all the way. Keep going. If it wasn't for that, we were in a they had 2 cards. We had 2 basically hard counters in hand. No, I didn't even play the island. That's silly. We had a lot of stuff covered there, but not that one. Discard the Fairy Seer. It should have been great. I'll draw these 2, shall I? There needs to be a Scred in here somewhere. Doesn't have to be straight away. We're not too greedy. We can keep going, right? We can pop in with one of our sprites. We need to draw a Scred, so we might as well do Ninja pick it up. Are you a Scred? Okay. So this would have killed us. We were struggling to beat this anyway at that point, but the Shinobi was pretty rough. We're going to really struggle to finish the 3rd game with 4 minutes on our clock. Where did this kind of get? I think we kept the 3 ninjas for too long, but we did then. Those were the ninjas that we had kept. That wasn't the end of the world. I think just any game where we don't have, we have these mono creatures and they're all in the bottom. When we'd have had control of them for basically the length of that game. I don't tend to like doing this, but I'm going to bring in the spell pierce. It's kind of 4 minutes. The opponent's going to stumble. The best way of us doing that is to spell pierce something, and we didn't see anything that cast like what maybe the blood fountain, but we've got the relics for that anyway. So let's go. Oh, we saw a red blast, but I'm not going to bring in a powerful stuff ourselves, rather than try and have our thing, have red blasts that don't line up well into 58 of their 60 cards. So it's definitely spriting a 2-drop. I mean, they could have Snuff Out, but that is what it is. And if not, we'll Brainstorm Shuffle. Defile Rough. I think we're just drawing these. Start doing this. It's a shame that's going to use up so much of our time. And then we are actually going to shuffle as well. So maybe that should have been a mountain. And Scratch. Augur. If we were playing more slowly, I'd like to think we wouldn't get to Pyroblast us when we have 2 sprites in our hand. But, oh, I should have kept this. I need the Scratch. This is not the best game of Magic we have played. Opponent's caught on 3 lands, which is kind of our. Oh, there's number 4. I'm gonna sprite and block. Okay, buddy. Yeah, okay. I see what you did. Right. 1 drop. I mean, I'll try. Did I get it? I got it. Yeah, I didn't get it. I got that though. So this is how I would expect the games that we win to go, in that we've played the Monarch on an early turn. I'm going to double hacker. Just again, it doesn't work into Crypt Rats, but they don't have it. This will give us the opportunity to get the game with. Fungal Infection is not our friend. Fungal Infection, not really anybody's friend, although the Sprite does help. Sprites do help against fungal infection. Order playing the island because I want to be able to sprite and then counter it. Sprite to counter a fungal infection, and then counterspell to counter a. Just got the scratch. I want to be able to counterspell then to counter a Snuff Out. Probably should just stop relicking them. It's more, my time is more precious than they're like a couple of cards in the graveyard. Bolt could be better. I'm going to discard the Lorien. We don't need to be spending 5 mana to draw 3. We've got a steady stream of cards. Let's counterspell a Duress. They don't know what's in our hand. They red blast. That's bad. This lets them get their Crypt Rats. What, the Surveil thing? Just cast down. Sure. Oh, so much clicking. Pick up this. Counterspell, now I'm tapped out. Slam a Bolt. And take the counterspell. I'm basically just going to auto yield attack and then try and Commodore. Tic tac indeed. Opponent is making us sweat it out a bit. No point attacking because they're O2s. So now we're going to remove our main phase stops. I believe opponent has managed, as long as they can kill a Commodore. Oh, that's so sad. We had the relic. Well, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Yeah, really sad that we had the relic, that we just didn't have a little bit more time. I think even like all the time fiddling around with the augurs, if we'd have had another couple of seconds on the clock, we'd have slow played through that and they'd have not gained 6 life and been dead. But really fun match. Game 3 is how I expect it to go when you win this one, but hopefully it shows, I think game 1 we were kind of unfortunate to not have the monarch creatures early on. That's the reason why there's 2 in the deck, is this kind of match. I'm not quite sure how we close out. I think we just, again, none of our creatures trade that well with removal. Game 3 we were doing quite well, and then that stupid ninja got us. Again, we could have conceded that earlier, saved a bit of time. And then this game, yeah, I think we probably should. Talking through matches takes. That's a shame. On to the next. Right, so on the draw for round 4. Gonna keep this, probably get a red source. Entropete's been on black sack for a while. So if he is, we will ask him afterwards what his... oh no, he's playing blue cards. What has happened to us both? Where have we gone? Don't hate our deck against current hand against... We need to put our main phase stops back in. Would benefit from more lands. An island and a snow-covered island. But what does it mean? Hand's not bad against high tide and it's got a spell. I think we still fetch for a mountain. They've played no end of 1-drop so far. We'll see if our spell stuff is any good. I'd say unsurprisingly it is not. So they are on high tide. This resolves. I think the question is, do we want to sprite to draw an extra card off the ninja? The problem is if we don't have an island. There's the island. So have a psychic puppetry, so they can... We are spriting anything we get the... I think we're... Opponent's multiplied, but I don't think we're winning this game. We won't hacker because now they can... Let's discard a Scred. Don't think Scred's going to be at its best here. Opponent gets go nuts. So I will sprite to counter like a preordain, but post board we've got some relics. Not that they're particularly great, but the island cycle here. I forgot to attack. I just didn't attack. That's no good. Guess we're letting the merchant scroll. Let's try this again. Oh, it's because I removed my beginning combat steps, so I'm used to my muscle memories. I've got an extra. The time scramble strikes again. You never believe this. Get an island. Play it. So we can like spell stutter the first height. Then we need to have one resolve before we can counterspell something. This way we just use up more of their mana. Oh, I'm an idiot. I needed... Oh, they're an idiot! Sorry, Entropete, I didn't mean... but the point is they could just go to their next main phase and our pool empties. Who am I kidding? It has happened. I'm gonna concede here because we don't... I don't want to tap because then it's just... Some of the time they'll fizzle. We will sit back and watch. And we're going to counterspell something later on, just so we can show that potentially goofed earlier. I feel like we kind of repaid it with timing out ourselves, but I don't think if they had 2 less mana on this turn, it would... Because this was... Oh no, so it would have, right? They'd have only untapped 1. We'd have counted the hiddens, so they... High tide, hidden strings. Yeah, so we should have just counterspelled. That way they would have only got 1 set of mana off of the Thingamabob anyway. Or are they replicating a bunch now to target themselves and stack their deck? But yeah, I think if we'd have counterspelled the hidden strings, would have probably been okay. But deciding not to. That was actually a decision, not just like a complete goof. It is too late. But then they put it back by letting us untap the land and so on. I guess the question is, do they have enough? So obviously they can stream of thought to shuffle some cards back, but do they have enough mana to do that in a way that... Mana? They must do. Okay, yeah, now they do. Oh, I need to turn off the auto yield so I can show them that I have it and try and get karma back. I don't want this bunch. Anyway, so relics aren't great, but they can just do... Obviously I want all the red blasts and all the counter spells. And what's kind of the last card to cut? Bolts or more 4-drop mono creatures? 4-drop mono creatures. Bolts still not great. Bolts at minimum get picked. So I'm going to keep this off the back of the kind of fairy start. And again, we've got a extra... I don't know. So having a bit of a chat, like, I think people there's definitely this thing of like high tide's really hard to play correctly. I think it is. I don't think I was particularly good at playing it, but I think I went 3-2 and 4-1, and it's just like the decks that it's easy to beat are really, really easy. And then I lost to like fairies, which what other people say is really, really hard to beat. And so I don't think there's that many points that the people who are really good at the deck actually gain there. Maybe I'm being unfair, but I just don't think it's actually that hard. I think it's just very polarized. I don't know. I guess it depends how many copies of Giga Drowsers you run. I can see on very many Giga Drowsers, it is actually quite hard to close out, or like to beat certain blue decks, but I guess the opposite of that is if you are on Giga Drowsers, shuffle away. Do we want the mountain or the island? Obviously the red blast is good. So obviously we'll sprite anything they let us sprite. Not, we'll go to our end step and looks like we are just. This is where a Giga Drowser is going to be very tough. What they could replicate twice on both lands. What we're counting on is that they don't have it yet, and I have, which gives us more of a shot. I'm going to sprite, it doubles our clock. It also means the brainstorm lock was pretty rough. So yeah, we're like never ever beating a Giga Drowse, but if they don't have that, and we're going to sprite again. Is this a Giga Drowse? We're kind of an island away from. So back to having 2 forms. We'll red blast the first. Once the first one's resolved, the taps 2 mana. Well, we are continuing to attack. I will confess to being a bit confused by the need to find the thing. Because like, well, you just cast a high tide. Sorry, a merchant scroll. So, do we want to interact with this? We can red blast it and still spell stutter after a. I guess this means that if they have a way to tap 1 land, where like if they had a hidden strings, they could leave that. But we need to keep interacting. We can't let them have all the time in the world. Or like, oh okay, no. Yeah, we need to keep interacting. Even like if it introduces some risks, we can't let them resolve everything and then sit on just 2 mana. It's gonna go wrong eventually. So is this a Giga Drowse? So let's choose ourselves some targets. This is basically reduced us to 1 red blast, 1 of these. Spend 2 mana to counter. Spend 2 mana to counter the one that's targeting this, but I mean they might have blue blast of their own, so I don't really want to go that way. So let's red blast, counter target spell if it's blue, on all the ones that target an island. The other island gets tapped, so they get their high tide. We try and stop the second one, and we've learned our lesson now. We counter this because we don't want to. Would we rather spell stutter this or counterspell it? I guess we'll spell stutter in case of dispel or spell. Opponent's got 4 mana to see what they can do. So that was Ideas Unbound with no splicing, right? Maybe a bit mean, but cool. Right, so on the bolts were kind of doing their job and they dropped the clock by a turn. Not doing their job, but that's to be expected. We've got Fairy Seers, we've got lands. Got Fairy Seer, got lands. And we got Island, Fairy Seer, hold up. Hold up Red Blast or so it doesn't really matter what we see here. I guess it's information we might not. If we're not, we'll be brainstorming. So I think I'm going to just Soothing Landscape. Let's turn off Water Yields. We're going to have to work pretty hard to resolve the spell. I'm going to keep the Red Blast. Red Blast is too easy viewing kind of lightly. There's only so many 2 mana spells we can hold up. 1 mana spells we've got all day. At least there's only so many 2 mana spells we can cast after it. And then obviously playing the sprite doubles our clock. I think we get ourselves another mount. Worst case, it's used to red blast. Best case, it protects that volatile forward. Oh, I didn't realise my head would play the mountain this turn. So just attack again. I don't think the time has come to play out a fairy seer. We've basically got 4 pieces of interaction. If we play the fairy seer, we've still got 4 mana, which lets us do 3 of them. So we can, because basically then almost quite what the different pieces of interaction are doesn't actually matter as much. You know, let's just assume they're all good and we do examples of them as we can. So opponent disconnected. I think I end up winning there. Obviously, we don't know what they've got. What they Giga Drowse, 5 stacks, get to leave up 2 pieces of interaction for the next turn. Maybe Spell Pierce something. Red Blast. Spell Pierce 1 island, Red Blast the other island, let do a high time. 2 pieces of interaction back. Yeah, I don't know. 3 and 1 into the last round. Right, so we're playing for the 4-1. I'm going to keep this. We can get a red source. We've got Augur and then just pick it up. We could also set up the Augur, but we'll see whether we have time. Not all bad. So depending on what they're on, we will either set up Augur or just Island Cycle. Oh, we're a bit laggy. See, there's a Delver secret come in, but he's not over here. Where's he gone? No. So I think I'd rather get a red source online. It's still going to be a turn late, and then we can do our Delver setup thing. So we can brainstorm now, so it doesn't get spell pierced. And obviously, either put back something to hit with the Augur, or otherwise get rid of probably this Admiral, and just put them on the bottom with the Augur. So again, point is playing around spell pierce by doing it now, and then we'll put back lightning bolt, and so that we're going to draw the island. Bit of a shame that we can't. Is what it is. So we're going to have our 5 lands in play for Scred to be good. They reveal a brainstorm. Not only reveal a brainstorm, they play a brainstorm. It's even the same one look. So I think our Terra matchup is, and let's kind of do the thing by auguring into our bolt. Obviously, we might not choose the bolt, but I think we will, because we want to save Screds in this matchup. We'll shuffle at some point and have a chance to draw it again. And this 3-2 in for plenty of damage over the course of the game, so we'll get rid of him for now. Opponent's got 4 spells in the graveyard, so a good mental note or thought scour, and we could be facing down the terrors this turn. Ideally, we get another turn before they drop them, and we get to like ninjutsu and so on. Okay, so they just have a serpent. That's not the end of the world. There's a shuffle to put our Scred back. We can also consider playing out the Azure and then just say chump blocking with the Orb. We draw an extra card. The next turn we could Scred this down. Bit tricky with the Sleep of the Dead, but there's a point where if they've just tapped 3 mana to play this, they don't really have anything else going on. I guess the problem is that like just top decking a Thought Scour makes that go from manageable to terrible very, very. But what else are we doing? Our hand doesn't get any better. We can kill this guy, but presumably they've got a follow up. Alright. I'm down for taking a big swing in game 1. Obviously there's plenty of ways that this goes very badly, but then there's a couple where it goes okay. They boomerang both our creatures. That's still 2 cards to draw a card. Like they'll draw another card in their next turn, but that's not. That could have gone worse. So first I was looking at Augur, Scred, Hold Up Spite, but I think we just replay the Admiral. We just bolt the guy. So land Scred the guy. Bouncing the Monarch creature. Achieve what I think they wanted. Again, they're going to be able to play some guys now, but we're seeing a lot of cards to Lorien Revealed is great for our opinion, at least. We've not shuffled that Scred back in yet, have we? Which I think does matter. So let's get a mountain and do that. Love a Scred. Augur, take the Scred. So we're just going to slam spells at whatever they do. Delver, I think we try and spell stutter that. This is just like, this is very late straight for a counter spell. Maybe we don't. Maybe we don't. Let's not. So obviously we can't sprite a terror, but we can sprite when we try and scred a terror to force. And if we can kind of hold them for spending more mana this turn. So we'll go to our end, go to the end step, and then I'll happily brainstorm. If they spell pierce it, that's fine. We just want to need resources now and let the monarch do its work. We find a bolt, that's incredible. That's very good for us. Make my land drop. We've got like the monarchs in play now. I don't think they're going to be able to keep us off of it very well. Just maximize, our churn through resources. Leave home the fairy seer. To ninjutsu this back. Depending on what we hit, we'll then decide whether we are going to play it again this turn. I think we probably are. Happy to play a kind of blind, which is much just putting a guy in play that might block a guy if they don't flip. If it hits, great. I don't think we need it to at this point. We won't be rich enough to have 5 mana to spend on that with our flow of cards coming. Well, this lag is really annoying. So we have gone through our end step. They didn't play anything. First double trigger on the stack. If this doesn't flip, so it does flip, which isn't great, but that's doable. Again, they can have the monarch for a turn, for a draw step. We're doing okay still. We could flash in a sprite to block. We're not going to scred something, but as in we're not going to scred one of these, but we'll scred the. That's okay. So now we know we just don't block anything. We will scred a terror if that comes down the line. So we get down to 5. Bear in mind they've got the Sleep of the Dead if that was to be good. Again, doesn't tend to be great against our deck, like one big creature. We know they've got a Spell Pierce. Spell Pierce isn't at its best in this spot, but it could be worse. So let's leave home the Fairy Seer again, just for a margin of safety. Ninjutsu and try and pick up the Augur. This is probably going to stack them the long way around. We're going to discard the Lorien Revealed if we have to do that first. Yep, and just straight draw a card. So neither of those draws have helped us very much. Let's brainstorm. Put back forward. I might put back forward, just play the bottom of these two. So I still want to be a bit greedy and not scred one of these. Would double block to kill one, and then we've got scred up, we've got counterspell, and we've got sprite. So we've got 3 layers of interaction. I think we're going to struggle to die. Then, bearing in mind they are facing down, I think we sprite this. They need to have a third counterspell really for them. They thought scour themselves. That 3 mana is going to have to do a lot of work. So we counter that. I've only got 2 mana left. 3 mana left. The last card is a Spell Pierce. I think it means I kind of just want to throw my Spell Pierce away at this. Yeah, this doesn't matter that much. The important thing is to make the decision quickly so we don't time ourselves out. Hellbent, they can't pay for their thought scan. Cool. So up a game. I think this is going to get better post-board because we have our relics. We have 5 red blasts. The Commodore is rough because it gets blue blasted, but that's the world we live in. I don't think I want the cast into the fire. I don't think I want the Spell Pierce. Maybe we want the Spell Pierce. Don't want the cast into the fire. I don't think all of the bolts I'm going to cut the Commodore because it gets red blasted as well. What else is I sideboarding? Kind of want to cut some counter spells. I don't think a lot of the game is about counter spells. I think it's about being efficient. I guess there's two ways to go. We can either go Monarch and efficiency or counter spell and try and win that way. Don't want to cut all of the bolts because of Delver. But again, we do have all these. We are boarding in 5 spot removal spells. Why don't we trim 3 bolts? Maybe 2 bolts and a Fairy Seer. So we can kind of afford to cut a Fairy Seer in matchups where they have so many 1-drops, because then the Sprite does the job anyway. So cutting the Commodore because they're on blue, they're going to be on blue. Cutting the Fairy Seer because we don't need to power with our Sprites. Cutting the bolts because we're bringing in 5 more spot removal. Cutting the Ninja because it doesn't do very well staring at a terror. Cutting the Spell Pierce, a bit questionable, but I just don't think this is really what the game's about, and we don't want it. And the Cast into Fire because they don't really have artifacts, and it's rare that they'll have 2 Delvers next to each other. I know that it just happened, but we won't dwell on that. I'm always terrified I'm going to accidentally one day board in Red Blast against a red deck, or Blue Blast against a blue deck, so last minute double checks for that every time. I'm going to keep. This hand's not very good. Hopefully if we lose quickly. They're going to set themselves up for a good Thought Scour. We, on the other hand, aren't really doing much of anything. We could Brainstorm, but then we don't really set up our Augur because we kind of want to use a counter spell early turn, counter a 1-drop, but obviously it's their turn 3 that it'll be red. Okay, so that makes me want to Brainstorm more because we can try and find a land. If we're going to do that, we'll do it now so we don't get spell pierced. We do find a red source. Augur, Brainstorm, Brainstorm, Augur. So we could Augur next turn and hit that Brainstorm again if we choose. Otherwise we could hold up Sprite. They pass to our turn, we're just holding up Sprite. They Brainstorm again. Does this imply that they are Brainstorm locked? Who could tell? I really want a way to clear those off. Okay, so we're going to just play Mount. We're not going to... If they're not playing 1-drops yet, we've got a high chance of getting some value with a Sprite. I mean, they might have a gut shot, for example, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. No, this looks pretty good. They drew a gut shot for the turn. Did they Brainstorm and put it on top? That's rough, buddy. So what do we do here? I kind of just want to play an Augur blind. We've got the Ninja to draw a card. It's kind of the appeal for it. We don't really need it to hit, and then we can hold up Red Blast. Yeah, that's perfectly fine with me. I mean, it puts it puts another spell in their graveyard, but that's a counter spell for a 2-mana 1/3 is a trade iron. So we draw a Sprite again, so we're going back to that turn. All the good things happen on there. I am interested in brainstorming into some more lands, but not at the cost of getting some sweet value. There's nowhere to have another gut shot. Yeah, there is something about the if 2 people keep passing, holding up mana, then one of us is wrong. Well, no, I mean, we could both be right for the current, but eventually one of us is going to be. So let's put back Lightning Bolt, Augur. We're not going to fight over this. It was good, don't get me wrong. Oh, Lorien, you're allowed to cycle. You can't play real spells. But do I just Sprite this? I think so. They might have another gut shot, but I don't really care if this resolves. They've used up a lot of their counter spells already. Yeah. I mean, their gut shot's going to be good at some point. I think we just bolt now. See what they do about that. Then we can follow up with the Ninja. Yeah. That's why we didn't, if I say that's why we didn't wait to see what, see if it flipped. I guess we could have done their upkeep, but then we wouldn't have been playing around the spell pierce. But yeah, I don't really want to red blast this. That seems a bit of a throwaway. I'll probably. Am I happy to scred it? So the advantage of scredding it is that if my ninja gets in, like, that's just straight draw a card. A second red source would make me feel a lot more comfortable about this game. But all in all, I don't feel bad. And so we have a third blue source, which is still not bad. They're only drawing one card a turn. They don't seem to have any action. And if they draw a threat, that means they've not drawn away to protect it, so a red blast is going to be good. I feel like we're okay. Let's attack. Let's switcheroo the ninjas. And just the point is that a new one, like each time it's a new ninja has entered the battlefield. Let's play ourselves a relic. I think we just crack it. I guess we'll crack it in their upkeep, but we've already played land for the turn, so we're not really gaining anything by waiting. And then this just knocks back all of their terrors to be uncastable. We can move that upkeep stop now. This is less good without stuff in the graveyard to escape. And do we red blast this? I don't think we do. Not into spell pierce and so on. Augurs turned up at a good time. You don't even need to hit. You just need to enter the battlefield. That's all I'm asking. And you do hit. What a champ. Again, spell pierce makes sense for what they have, so I'm not going to just Lorien into a spell pierce. This can flip. 7 turns is a lot of turns in the current board state. I'm kind of tempted to red blast that. No, it's fine, it's fine. Like, red blast is so good. They've already used 2 counter spells and 1 blue blast. They drew a creature or a land. Which one's it going to be? It was a creature. Again, Delver Schmelver. I will attack with a hat with both my guys. Hacker Schmacker. Delver Schmelver. So you know I've got another hacker, so I'm surprised that you... I think you should have blocked this so I don't get to ninjutsu it. This is not a game for the Monarch. Monarch, whilst great, we don't need any variants, let's say. Again, you don't need to hit. You just come into play, attack for 1. Okay, you're too kind, Augur. What's this? A piracy charm? I've forgotten. I think I'm going to red blast one of these. We've got 3 red blasts. And then I want to, if they blue blast or spell pierce, or spell pierce, fine. If they blue blast, I want to sprite it. Boomerang your guy. So I can just counterspell this on the way back down as one option. I'll counterspell it when you play it again, who knows. Target player discards card, less good here. So Delver and Piracy Charm. Surprise, I had a counterspell all along. Again, counterspell much worse than red black. Hey, what, we've used a bolt, haven't we? We only got 1 or 2 bolts left. 2 bolts, 1 bolt left. So do Piracy Charm just down a random chump. I say random chump, one of our. I think the time has come to just red blast this guy. We've got their first spell covered with the red blast. Discard the Lorien. Yeah, just play a load of garbage. So Fairy Seer, bottom, top. I hope it's good. So I'm very tempted to spell Stutter Sprite for the BM, but we'll just counterspell. Nice. So 4-1 beating Terror. I think I would probably cut the Boomerang if I was them. Hard to say. Their draws didn't seem great. But hard to know what they were working with. I like our match. Right, that is another league. This one we went 4-1. We won a game we should have lost. I feel a bit bad for opponent timing out, especially again considering I didn't be kind of slow roll like I was going to. The intention wasn't I'm going to concede. No, you only had time to act anyway, but I still feel that was unfortunate. We then got timed out back. We would have killed them, but they resolved a pulse from us, so whilst we had a relic in play and a million mana up, just because we were F6ing through the turn. So we were very, very close to another 5-0, but equally we were only, a second away from losing. So yeah, 4-1, that's the fair record. Lost a match we should have won a match we should have lost, and everything else seemed pretty comfortable. The High Tide seems like a great matchup. Terra, I'm convinced, is pretty good. We're 5-0 into red decks on recorded matches. Like, yeah, Blue Fae, big fan.